Hi, Dave McConaughey here from DMC Fitness in Glasgow in Scotland, and today we are looking at and going through what I call my glute activation series. A lot of this has been inspired by Dr. Andrew Locke, powerlifter, physiotherapist, kind of pretty much industry legend. If you don't know who he is, check him out. As I say, this has been inspired by his drills. Some of his drills are incorporated into this as well. Okay, so I want to prime the movement. We're going to do a sideline clamshell. So to start with, this is how I just prefer to do it. And I'm going to do 20 of these. So I've got my bottom leg straight. I've got my foot sitting across my knee, the back of my kneecap. And I am pushing my knee up towards the ceiling, doing this what we call the clamshell movement, and at the top of the movement I'm driving my hips forward, I'm sucking my belly button in, and I'm squeezing my glutes on my bum cheeks, and I'm squeezing hard at the top, and all I'm doing here, and the only reason I'm doing it is just to prime the movement. It's just priming it. Okay. So once I've done those 20 repetitions, I'm going to come down into the lying prone position. I'm going to support myself, and I'm taking my foot and I'm placing the instep stroke ankle on the other side of the back of my kneecap. From here, I'm going to drive my hips down into the floor. I'm going to activate my core. And I'm going to do the clamshell from this position. Driving that left hip down. So see a lot of this at the beginning, and I was like that as well at the very start. We don't really want that. We want the glute to do the work, not the hip. So I'm going to do 15 of these. Slow and controlled. I'm not really too concerned about height. I'm more focused on the intensity of the contraction within the glute muscle, and also my hip being forward. Okay, so I'll have a wee rest for 30 to 60 seconds, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my ankle, my foot of the glute that I'm working, so for me it's my left, and I'm just going to place it over the ankle, then step over the ankle and support the leg. Again, same movement. So 20, 15 and 15, and then I'll swap sides. And I'll just start the exact same process on the opposite side. 1, I'll prime the movement pattern, and also start to create that contraction as well. And just encourage it. Encourage the glutes to work a wee bit harder. I choose to do 20 reps, you might not, it's up to you, it's personalised, this is what works for me. So do 3 more for 20, I think. Then I'll come down lying in one position, and really squeezing, driving the pelvis, punching the hips into the floor. 15 done. We rest. I'm constantly assessing as well, constantly looking for ways to be able to improve, enhance the connection. And we're going to go for 15 from this angle. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to take the band. My spectacles back on because again, and I'm going to look the band. So, glute resistance band for glute training. Pick your one that suits you best, and for your level. And we're going to do a side lying clamshell, just for 7 reps. I've got my hand on the glute because I want to feel it working and the connection, and also activating the hip flexor a wee bit on the front as well. So I'm doing 7 side lying clamshells. And then swap sides. I'm going to do 7 on the opposite side. I'm pushing the hip forward. I've got my hand on the glute because I want to feel that medial part, the middle part of my butt cheek, my bum cheek, the medial part of my glute, to make sure that's firing properly and it's connected onto the hip flexor. So I've done my 7, and then I'm going to do 14 hip thrusts or banded hip thrusts. Nice high hip bridge. So in this position here, what I'm doing at the start is I'm pushing the knees open and I'm tucking, and my pelvis is quite tucked as well, and then I'm punching myself into that top position, letting the hip flexors do a wee bit of stretching at the top, and I'll relax. I'm allowing my pelvis, so I'm doing a pelvic tilt to start the movement. So my lower back is flat into the mat, I'm sucking my belly button in, and I'm pushing the knees apart. So I'm on here, I'm all connected and activated, and I'm going to drive the hips up, and then push open at that top position as well. And then come back in, and then pause. Again, flatten the back, suck the belly button in, and then drive, and then peel the glutes at the top. I'm having a wardrobe malfunction here. I don't really want to be having. Now we'll have a wee rest. Okay, so place the band on. And what I like to do at the beginning when I've got this on is just to do some pelvic tucks. So my pelvis is in an anterior tilt. So there's a bit of a hollow in my lower back. Okay, what I want to do is tuck my pelvis under and have the back flat, my lower back flat. As I'm doing that, I'm going to peel. I'm going to peel my knees open. I'm going to pull in on my seating muscles. And I'm going to hold that contraction for 5 seconds. And I'm going to relax. I'm going to let my pelvis come forward a wee bit. Again, there's that hollow in the lower back. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to tuck. And then I'm going to peel my knees open. And then I'm going to pull in all my seating muscles. I'm going to squeeze and create that isometric contraction. And then I'm going to relax out of it again. So I'll do this for like 10 repetitions. So tuck, suck, and squeeze. And then release. It's a very small movement, but bang for your buck, you get a lot from it. Good. Okay, so glute rolls. Lying on my front. My spectacles off. You're going to know why. Okay. Feet elevated. Toes pointed. And I'm just going to roll. I'm rolling my glutes. I'm rolling them out. And then. I'm going to do this for 25 repetitions. Rest. Okay, next exercise is going to be a fire hydrant. 7 reps. Each side. Then we're going to do kick-ups. Again for 7 reps each side. Okay, so we're going to do a bench assisted glute roll as well. Okay, so I've got a band above my knee and I'm just going to work myself into my comfortable position, so I'm quite far off the bench. I prefer it this way. But I'm going to drive my hips up and I'm just going to pulse from the end position for 25 reps. Really focusing on my glutes. I'm rolling them again, just on a different angle. And once I've done my repetitions, I like 80 reps. Feet shoulder width apart. I'm driving the knees out. I'm just sitting comfortably into that bottom position. And I'm standing back up again. So I do 14 of these. Now we're going to do some crab walks. So I'm going to take the band and just put it below my knees. Work myself into this nice low 3/4 kind of squat, quarter squat position, and I'm leading with this hip. So I'm leading with my right hip, and then I'm leading with my opposite hip again. Staying low, moving slowly, and making sure that I keep that nice distance between my feet. And I'm just going to work from side to side to side to side. And then back away. Last exercise for this. See these? The band on my ankles. I'm going to have my feet shoulder width apart. I'm just going to turn my toes out to the wall. I'm going to externally rotate my hip. You get a nice squeeze on the glute with this as well, using the band. I quite enjoy doing these. This is just part of this series that we've got at the moment. And I like to do 14 of these. And that's that done.